Is the video already on?
What?
Okay. Welcome to northern Thailand. Whoa. Hello everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Sorry for the long delay. I was hiking without service in Nepal for the last couple of weeks. So I wasn't able to really work on my videos. But here's the long delayed Chiang Mai video. So this is our time basically in Chiang Mai, exploring the surrounding landscape in northern Thailand, and then our last day in Bangkok before we headed over to Nepal. So I hope you enjoy. So once we made it to Chiang Mai, we checked into our hotel and then stopped and got mango sticky rice, which is still the best sticky rice we had in Thailand. This place right here, delicious. Afterwards, we checked out this night market, which was a bunch of different shops selling different tourist items, food and music and such. It was really fun. We got these really nice kebabs, got some trinkets, and also got some juice. Like, it was a really good time. And lots to do and see. At one point, they played the national anthem, and everyone stood still for it, which was pretty funny. After the night market, the very next day, we signed up for a cooking class. And the first thing in the cooking class is we walked around this market to check out different ingredients and figure out exactly, what to be looking for. And then afterwards, we headed over to the kitchen with our head chef, Balloon. That's what they went by. And we made a bunch of different dishes, some very, very good ones. This one wasn't vegetarian, so we were able to make some like garlic pork, fried rice, pad thai, lots of really tasty stuff. And then afterwards, we actually ended up going out and getting beers with one of the guys we met in the cooking class, which was super fun. So the very next day, we headed over to Doi Inthanon, which is a national park just about an hour away from Chiang Mai. And the very first stop along the way was this very pretty waterfall. As you could see, there were a ton of rainbows around it, which was pretty cool to see. And then afterwards, we drove for a little bit longer and did this very, very pretty hike. About 2 hours long, very flat pretty much. And we got little walking sticks to carry with, which was cool. But the best part of the hike for sure was definitely walking over these rice paddies and walking past them. Super pretty to see. They blended perfectly with the landscape. Just super gorgeous. And as you can see here, it was just an absolutely beautiful hike. So at the very end of the hike, we kind of ended up in this one little village, which was nestled along all these rice fields. And we're able to see some people making scarves and different clothing, along with kind of checking out some of the village some. That's where we got our lunch as well, before we continued on towards the highest point in all of Thailand. We pretty much just drove up to it. It's not exactly very tall up, very, very high. And it was a little underwhelming. But after that, we headed over to the King and Queen's Pagoda. So these two pagodas were built as memorials to the most recent late king and queen, and they were super gorgeous. They were nestled right on top of this hilltop, not terribly far away from the tallest point in Thailand. Both of them had very ornate, beautiful insides, lots of different sacred artifacts kind of related to the Buddha, and different plaques kind of describing different points in like the Buddha's journey and such. Super beautiful. The whole thing was surrounded by like this garden, which was super pretty, and it was really fun walking through. So we didn't stay here very long, but it was a super nice kind of thing to see. And we got great views of the surrounding landscape as well from up above. So afterwards, we headed back to Chiang Mai, and then the very next day, woke up nice and early to head over to Chiang Rai for a temple tour. So we checked out a couple of the more popular temples up in northern Thailand. We are at the White Temple, which is one of the most famous temples in Chiang Rai, which is just north of Chiang Mai. Used to be one of the older capitals of the Manta Kingdom. But we have a lot of videos of us kind of walking through it. It's one of the bigger tourist destinations, but it's a temple It's created by this one dude in like total devotion to Buddhism. As you can see, it's quite extravagant. So let's go check it out. So as you can see, this thing is really fancy. This first part is kind of meant to represent like walking over hell and all the sinners as you get to the actual like Buddhist temple itself. But super beautiful. It was all white with this kind of like glowing like silver outline, which really made it pop, especially in the sun. So it was super cool to have been able to see. So we moved on from the White Temple, got lunch, and now we are at the, surprise, surprise, Blue Temple. So the Blue Temple is not quite as ornate as the White Temple, although I feel like that's kind of somewhat hard to achieve given how ornate the White Temple really was. But still, it was extremely beautiful. The blue was very vivid, and it was cool to have this like blue theme all throughout the temple. Still super touristy, but I'm very glad we were able to see it. Afterwards, we headed over to this random cafe called Lalita Cafe. This was definitely, for sure, a tourist trap. Very pretty, don't get me wrong, but it was like kind of like a botanical garden-esque kind of thing, and they put a lot of fog machines in, so it seemed very mystical. Super pretty, but we stayed there for like an hour, and there was not really enough to do for an hour there. It was a cool stop, but maybe for not as long as we ended up staying there for. We are at our third and final temple for the day, and this one on theme is called the Red Temple. I think it's more of a pagoda, but I think probably frankly for tourist reasons, it's called the Red Temple. But just on the other side of this building right here is a giant Buddha as well, and you can go up in it. You can look out of its eyes. So let's go do it. So we started by climbing up into the giant Buddha statue, and this is what the inside looked like. It's like super ornately designed kind of flowers and statues of people and such. I was able to look out of the Buddha's eyes, which is cool. I kind of felt almost like I was in the Statue of Liberty, except, very different. And off to the side, you could see there's the Red Temple, or the pagoda. Afterwards, ran over, checked out the Red Temple. It had about 8 different floors, and each one had a different important Buddha statue on each floor, so you were able to kind of get a nice variety as you were walking up the floors. And then the very last thing I did before we headed out from this location was there was a small little white temple in between the two of them, which looked almost like a miniature, slightly less ornate version of the White Temple. Super pretty. Glad I was able to see it. This area definitely had a lot to see and do. Sadly, we were a little bit rushed through it. Could have spent less time at the cafe, more time here for sure. And that blinking, it was not blinking in person. That's how the camera picked it up. I have no clue why it does that. On the train back to Bangkok, got our dinner, kind of a chocolate bar, water. Okay, we are on the sleeper train to Chiang Mai, and now for the first time, oh yeah, you're right, it's much smaller. Yeah, it's a lot smaller. We have a bed, we can sleep, and this is where we're chilling right now. Welcome to the bed. We got so much more room. We're gonna sleep. We have dinner. We bought dinner for 7 o'clock. So happy. Here we are, zooming away. So once we made it back down to Bangkok, we immediately went to the floating market. But the very first stop beforehand was the railway market, which is a market built right up to the railway. So we kind of went out of town for a little, drove out of town, found this like little train station, hopped on the train, which immediately took us into the train market. So what we ended up doing was we drove into the train market on the train. So we're able to get a view from the train and see exactly how close it is to the sides. As you can see here, I mean, it's like right there. And then afterwards, we were able to get out of the train and walk through the market some, and then actually kind of stand aside as the train zoomed past us, which was pretty cool. But this was really, really cool. I mean, it got really close. As you can see from the video here, I mean, like I could practically have put my hand out and grabbed something from the stands as I was zooming past. And then walking through the market as well. Like I never would have guessed that an actual train would go through there while we were walking through. Because I mean, as you can see, the canopies are up. And then right before the train comes, they take them down and then it zooms by and then they put them right back up afterwards. So it was a really cool thing to have been able to see. We stayed there for another about an hour. Ryan and I got some like shaved ice, some Thai tea shaved ice while we were waiting for the train to come. And yeah, and then afterwards we headed over to the floating market. So after about 20 minutes of driving or so, we made it to the floating market. And the very first stop was hopping in these little boats and kind of checking out the market by boat. And what was interesting actually was they got us in one boat that was actually too small for us. We were weighing it down a little too much. So we had to get into a second one, which was funny. But as you can see, people are trying to give us beer. And what's really funny is all the boats along the side have these hooks, and they'll actually hook your boat and pull you in. So you're kind of forced somewhat to look at their goods, which I thought was a little funny. But it was a super pretty market. It was really cool to see. Market plan.
What are you talking about? We're here, aren't we?
Never mind. Actually, that's a good point. So, Orion, what do you think of the floating market? Hear that, ladies and gentlemen? It floats. Words of wisdom.
I mean, if you want my actual take, I think that as far as canals go, it's a pretty weak canal. But as far as floating markets go, it's the only one I've ever seen. So it's 10 out of 10. At the same time, it's also the worst floating market I've ever seen. It's 0 out of 10. So it's even out, I don't know, 2 of 5. And say that, you know, food score could bring it up for sure. The sketch is looking promising. But, you know, it's only halftime of our experience here. So there's a lot of game left for this to show us. Back to you guys.
And that's floating market today, tomorrow. We have gotten ourselves a little drawing. The guy did it in 5 minutes. 5 minutes for the two of us. So afterwards, we headed back to Bangkok to do our last little bit of shopping. Headed back to Center World because we needed to pick up Orion's computer, and then just kind of looked around to see if there's any kind of last things we wanted. Funny enough, this was actually on Halloween, and we found a Christmas market. Don't know why. Guess what it is? It's time for Christmas. Christmas already. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed. I'll hopefully have the next videos out sometime soon, since I have a free day here and there before we head over to India. The next video will be on Kathmandu. So I hope you enjoy, and thank you again for watching.
Bum 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 bum.